Tech Transforms explores how technology is reshaping our world, particularly at the intersection of government, innovation, and human needs. In each episode, I talk with some of the most influential voices in technology, uncovering how they're leveraging innovation to solve complex challenges and improve the way we live. This episode is sponsored by OWL Cyber Defense, leaders in secure data transfer solutions for critical networks. I'm your host, Carolyn Ford. Today, I get to welcome Antoine Harden, Regional VP of Federal at Sonatype. With 25 years of experience across Oracle, Google, and now spearheading software supply chain modernization for the federal government at Sonatype, Antoine's journey brings critical insight into how agencies can evolve from reactive compliance to proactive capability. Antoine, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Carolyn. I appreciate it. I'm happy to be here.
Well, I'm excited to talk to you. Honestly, the whole supply chain thing and SBOM thing, for me at least, has started to bubble up just in the last few years, and it's like become a thing. So why is it a thing? It feels like it's under scrutiny. Is that true? And if so, why?
Yeah, no, I mean, a great observation, and 100% it's under scrutiny. I think more so ever than before is because right now, over the past few years, there's been some very high profile attacks against the federal government, right? Namely, the SolarWinds attack in the 2020, which really was about malicious code injected in the software, or the Log4j attack, which was attacking open source vulnerabilities and their logging capabilities. But they all were a part of the supply chain, the software technology supply chain, that the government needed to really have a better grasp and traceability on what's really happening in their whole software development ecosystem.
I remember being in the thick of Log4j, SolarWinds, but remind me, so SolarWinds.
Yeah. So SolarWinds was really all about, they really believe it was a nation state that was behind this, right? We don't know particularly which one, but it was really all about as folks were doing software updates, they were injecting malicious code in those normal updates. So you get your iPhone and hey, at 4 o'clock tonight, do the update. Well, software does the same thing, and as you did that update, there were vulnerabilities in it, and you're thinking it was secure because you've gone through these point in time security checks. Of course I could do this update. Well, it really had a massive effect on the federal government, corporations as well, but specifically the federal government, where Log4j was about exploiting open source vulnerabilities. And open source is, free software that's out there that developers around the world, they build different code and they share it so they can, build things faster, quicker, easier. Well, as those libraries are being used by millions of systems, there was malicious code being injected into that. So as folks downloaded and built applications for social services or defense systems, etc., they were naturally injecting vulnerabilities in those applications. So that's essentially what the Log4j in 2021 and the SolarWinds in 2020 was all about.
Yeah, I mean, I even did multiple podcasts on both of them, and I still have to be reminded. But so help me connect the dots of why supply chain. Well, okay, you got me to supply chain.
Yep.
Because that's where they were able to inject, which, by the way, the open source business, that is, I've always thought, like, this has got to be the riskiest thing because you've got all these people. And I've talked to open source gurus that have assured me, actually it's even more secure because you've got all these checks in place. But then what you just said about Log4j, I'm like, see?
Yeah.
But so supply chain, I get it. Why would SBOM make a difference?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah. So when you think about SBOMs are really, it's called the software bill of materials. And what that essentially is, I hear a lot of different analogies, but the one I like best is if you take a look at a nutrition label on a can of Sprite, as an example.
I like
right?
this one too.
Yeah, because I think a layman can understand it. It provides the list of all the ingredients but it doesn't give you the secret sauce to how they're really making the Sprite. So that's what we're doing is we're asking, the government is asking or mandating that as companies are building, or even their own governments, as they're providing software and tools to the federal government, they have to provide that list of ingredients, which is called the SBOM. And that's going to help with so many different things. It's going to help with procurement, because now you can really understand and figure out what vendors are fulfilling your nutritional standards, if you will, right? They're providing that list of capabilities. It's also going to help you to be able to provide ATOs, which are authorities to operate much faster, because you're now going to be able to shift that security capability earlier in the software development lifecycle. So now you're continuously adding security into the build as opposed to waiting until after the fact, which is traditionally how it's done.
Okay, so you're getting ahead of me a little bit, because I have some questions about well, no, and I'm like putting it together in my mind. I'm like, okay, well, if we have the list of materials and we can automate patches, we can automate, like, even, well, I don't know, maybe I'm off base here, but to some extent, like quality control, to make sure that we're not getting malicious code injected. So the automation, I can see, okay, now I'm with you.
But you're on to something on that, right? But traditionally, we've done a very good job at the edge and all these different technologies. But when it comes specifically to open source and AI in the software development lifecycle, you can only do that with types of tools that's called SCA, which is software composition analysis tools. Those tools fill that gap. Tools like Sonatype is one of the tools that fills that gap. Then you inject that into your CI/CD, which is your entire software development lifecycle. It has to be a part, the entire mix, and that's what's missing right now. And that's what the government is mandating. That piece of it is specifically focusing on open source and AI. They've done a great job at all the other areas, right? At the network layer, at the endpoint, at all these layers. Now they're saying, oh my gosh, we have a gaping hole with open source and with AI.
Okay, so now you're talking about some mandates that are being put in place, guidelines are being put in place. I have some listed here. I have no idea what they are or mean. So I've got like Executive Order 14028, the Secure Software Development Framework, and SWFT. Do we say SWIFT?
Yeah, SWIFT. Yes.
SWIFT. Okay, so talk us through what these mandates are. Do they matter? Are they just compliance? I mean,
very good question, because sometimes some things are out there just to cause noise, but this is truly the government taking a step back and saying, hey, we have to really improve our nation's cybersecurity, right? And we could point back to some of the vulnerabilities that we just talked about. But what Executive Order 14028 is one of the main ones. It was signed by the Biden administration. And what that particularly talks about is it's mandating a new approach to securing specifically the software supply chain, what we just talked about. But what it does is it lays the groundwork and it tells you, here's what you should do, right? And then you also have standards out of NIST or CISA that are mandating secure software development framework, which means here's the types of things that you should be doing to make sure you're secure in the network as you're building or deploying software. Well, what SWIFT has done for the DoD specifically has taken that a step further and gone from the what to the how. Here's how the DoD is going to fulfill the mandate of the executive order, right? They're going to do these things, software bill of materials. They're going to provide continuous monitoring in their shift left so they can automate and provide continuous monitoring, not just static checklists.
Yeah, and that's the key to me, because I'm going back to your list of ingredients, which, by the way, not all laymen can understand most of those ingredients, right? Like some of the words are as long as the package. And you get a list of ingredients with a lot of things that's just super long.
Correct.
So what you just said about automation, for me, right? It's the key. If we can't automate, it's not going to happen.
No, because you hit it on the head. What is, is red dye number 9 really good for me, or isn't it, right? Do we accept that in, in our ecosystem? So that's what that also that automation is going to do. It's going to automate those checklists to say, hey, we allow this, we don't allow that, we might allow that, that needs some human intervention, completely block that. You get what I mean? So it's automating not only the compliance portion of that, but it's also automating that you have an SBOM, that you actually have some of these things that we're
It auto generates your SBOM for you.
It can, yes. Some tools automatically auto-generate your SBOMs for you. That's what SCA tools should do, right? Is help you automate the generation of those SBOMs, provide the attestation that they do have one, and that it matches up with what we're going to accept in our environment. Attestation. And so SCA is software composition analysis. That's a set of tools. That's a set of tools that provides the automation of SBOMs. It provides firewall. It provides, a repository for you to look at all your artifacts and make sure that they are secure. And it provides a full life cycle from beginning to end in your development, specifically for open source and AI components.
And this is why it's DevSecOps, because it's built in from the beginning. How does the SCA tools, how did they keep up though? I mean, there's new stuff coming every day.
Yeah.
How are they staying updated?
Good question. One of the things I can speak specifically to Sonatype as an example, but all of them point to their different repositories. It's really all about the data. Right. And Sonatypes are creators of something called Maven Central, which is a repository that's built on Java. That's the largest open source repository in the world. And Sonatype actually built it, maintains it, but that's for the open source community. And because we have the most amount of developers around the world using it, leveraging it, adding to it consistently, that's how we have access to the largest data set, which provides our capability. A little plug for Sonatype. That's what makes us the best SCA tool in the world.
You can plug Sonatype all you like. But I'm gonna go with, okay, we're back to that open source thing. You just said yours is the largest in the world. How do you trust it?
Yep. So that's why we also drink our own Kool-Aid. We're constantly, continuously monitoring it with our tools, with other tools in that software ecosystem I talked about. So we're using DAS tools, which is dynamic application security testing, which is really testing code that's being built by original equipment manufacturers, right? It's making sure, hey, that Microsoft code actually is secure, and it does have an SBOM, and it does fulfill the requirements from an open source and AI perspective. That's what DAST does. Then you have SCA, right, which we just talked about. You have SAS, which are static application security testing tools, right? And then they all fit within the CI/CD, which is the full, life cycle of technology.
So you just made me think of, for whatever reason, I got stuck at JFK for over 24 hours because of CrowdStrike.
Yes.
Would this have maybe, in hindsight, of course, we're like Monday.
2020.
Right.
But it depends on the type of vulnerability. But yes, if they had a SCA type of tool, it could have done an automated fashion and really highlighted exactly what is impacted. So that's the other thing the SBOM does. Not only does that give you that list of ingredients, but if there is a vulnerability, it's going to point to exactly where it is, what's happened, and you could shut off just that component or that ingredient and still let everything else work while you do the remediation of that. So it's going to tell you exactly where to go and how to do it. So it definitely could have helped with the CrowdStrike situation. Okay, 1,000,000%. I'm
going to decree that this is like mandatory, because I never want to get stuck in JFK for 24 hours again.
well, Carolyn, if you think about it, it's mandatory for a reason. Again, I'm going to go back to, we're talking specifically about the government here, but it's true, financial services, healthcare, you name it. They've done a very good job of securing the entire ecosystem, except for this gaping hole of AI, which is blowing through the roof right now in open source, because open source is kind of forgotten about. Open source itself is secure, but when you introduce it into your environment, what vulnerabilities or malware is it introducing along with it? Does that make sense? So
Yes.
so if I'm that open source developer and I'm developing this piece of code that I'm making sure it's secure, but when I put it into some open source repository, somebody else could use it, download it, put another version up there.
Yeah. Okay.
Right? So that's why you need the SCA type tools. That's why you need to provide, the government's providing these mandates for SBOMs, because they realize that there's a gaping hole with open source and AI that they just didn't realize how prevalent it was in their environments.
I've always worried about open source, Antoine.
It's everywhere, right? I mean, most of the applications that we're using, whether it's, national defense, protecting the warfighter, or providing he or she something that they needs to use in the field, if it's, the citizen that's logging in to get some social services, right, from CMS or HUD or what have you, all of those systems are built with some type of open source in them, right? We're understanding that the full system might not be all open source, but there are components within that could be potentially introducing some vulnerabilities or some malware, but definitely it needs to be automatically monitored.
And I've been schooled many times on the open source that it goes through peer reviews. Like there are security measures in place for these open source libraries, like really good ones.
Yes.
I've been told many times that this is the case. Okay. Yes. So let's go back to you brought up AI, so an angel got their wings.
It's working. They're using it.
Yeah. So let's talk about Sonatype specifically. How are you using AI with your tool, and then in the supply chain in general? How are we seeing AI being used?
Yeah, great question. We internally are actually leveraging AI in our tools themselves, right? Just in terms of capability, providing feedback information. We're also moving towards more agentic AI capabilities, where we're generating more solutions and creating better solutions that we already have that I can't talk about right now, but we'll be doing releases here in the short future, where we're going to be really leveraging a lot more AI internally. But in terms of providing more secure AI for our customers, that's really where the crux of our solutions come into play. That's what we do. So if you think about AI in general, it's exactly what we saw with open source. If you think about it, right? It's open source. What did it do? And what is AI doing? It's providing quicker, easier, faster, right? Better capabilities, more innovative solutions for the government to have access to, so they can push out systems faster for what we just talked about, their constituent, the warfighter, whatever the case may be.
Maybe as long as we're not getting a bunch of garbage that it's training on.
Well, that's the problem, right? Okay, so that's what I'm leading into. What we're helping do is the government to provide ATOs or attestation, or the ability to say this system is compliant and secure, so we can get it out the door faster. We've authorized to operate this system in our environment. Right now, that takes anywhere from 6 months to 3 years, right? So by the time that system is ATO'd, it's no longer, it's obsolete. It's gone. So that's why they're putting these mandates in place as well, is to shift this stuff left, create so they can move ATOs faster, so they can get and deploy systems quicker to our constituents, warfighters, et cetera. That's really what it's all about, providing secure software, but being able to put the technology in the hands of the people that need them. That's really what it's ultimately about.
Okay, so
I hope I didn't confuse you there a little bit.
You did not. Indulge me. You made me go to Spaceballs. Have you ever seen that movie?
Oh, of course, yes.
Okay, so when Lord Helmet takes them to ludicrous speed and bypasses all the security measures, and chaos ensues. So what you just said, I'm just like, Did we just take ourselves into ludicrous speed?
Yes.
Even with the AI, because I just read a story. I'm going to try to keep it short, but essentially, a company used AI to try to beat the AI SEO stuff. So this is marketing speak now.
Mm-hmm.
And what the AI tool did was it made 100 keywords for this company, and then it wrote articles and pushed them out, no human in the loop, at ludicrous speed. So the garbage it was putting out, not only was it putting out garbage and lies, but now you've got OpenAI training on that garbage and lie. And so that's what you just said. Like, I love AI. I love it.
Yes.
And it scares the shit out of me.
You're right. It's like what it's like the hot potato, right? It's who has it last. But what I love AI, and it's needed, and it's providing so many social services and a lot of, providing security for our nation, and it's providing security for our warfighter. But damn it, we have to make sure it's secure. As you say, we have to make sure that the information is accurate, and that's what we're trying to do here, right? Is as they're moving and using AI at the speed of light in your scenario, right? I believe it's how do they make sure how do we put our seatbelt on? How do we have helmets, right? Do we have all the guardrails in place if we roll over because we're moving so fast? That's what our tools do. Sonatype specifically is it secures AI, helps them get use of it faster, but make sure they're secure while doing so. That's exactly what we do for AI, and the same thing we did for open source.
Would I be off to say that it's going to get us to continuous ATO?
100%.
That's what we're going for, right?
That's what we're going for, continuous ATO.
Okay.
That is the model. That when you look at SWFT, that's essentially what they're doing. Here's how we get to continuous ATO. That means everything in our entire software development lifecycle is continuously being monitored, not just spot checked beforehand or bolted on at the end. It's truly, I know I've said it a lot, it's being shifted left earlier, so it's a part of the process and not an afterthought.
Okay, so you make it sound easy, like all we need to do is plug in Sonatype, but let's get real for a minute.
Yeah.
Tell me some practical steps that agencies can take to embed continuous assurance, such as real-time policy enforcement, SCA checks, whether it's Sonatype or whatever, but just these SCA checks in general, and feedback loops into their DevSecOps pipelines.
No, I mean, you essentially said it, but I think there's a few things, right? The first thing they need to do is codify policies and control. What I mean by that is create security as a code. So instead of relying on paper policies or manual audits, right, they really need to put these security mandates into machine readable code so it can be automated as they go through these checkpoints, right? That's truly establishing a policy as a code, is truly make sure everything's version controlled. That's what I mean by security as a code.
Do the SCA tools do that? Is that part? No.
Okay. That they'll do other systems, that will help them do that, like GitLab and other capabilities that will do that. We have our piece in the DevSecOps SDLC. We meaning Sonatype, we just fit into the open source in the AI space, but there's other parts that I'm going to talk about here. So that security as a code would be the first step. The second step would be to integrate.
But they have to do that themselves, or has somebody else?
There's definitely other systems out there that could help them do that, right? Whether it's infrastructure as a code templates like Terraform, Ansible, they can use version control systems like GitLab, right? Where they can really make sure that things are tracked, traced, audited, etc. by all the different stakeholders. That's one set of capabilities. And actually Sonatype has a very good story with GitLab and Sonatype, because it's not an either or. All the things I'm talking about, they need the security
It's
as
an
a code and
ecosystem.
yeah, it's an ecosystem that they need to really make sure they're fully secured. So that's the first step is the security as a code, right? Codify their policies. The second step I'd say is integrate continuous security controls and tools into their CI/CD pipeline. Tools that we just talked about, static application security, what they call SAST, right? Which is truly securing the code for proprietary OEM code for SQL injection, cross-site scripting, really trying to find hard vulnerabilities in their actual code, right? That's what that does. SCA, which is what we talked about, where SBOMs are generated automatically, open source and AI capabilities are being secured through the SDLC. That's where the SCA tools come in at. And then real-time policy enforcement and real-time checks at runtime. So what I mean by that is they're checking things as they happen and not after the fact based on some checklist. If they do those things and then implement feedback loops continuously, I think those are practical steps that they could take, right? And truly building out their secure supply chain ecosystem.
What are the measurable impacts that you've seen? Like, tell me a story about how you've seen an agency or an organization improve and what those metrics were, and by doing what you just said.
If you think about, I'll say, I won't say the agency, but there's a DoD agency that needed to provide a system, ATO, a system that the warfighter needed to use over OCONUS, right? So the ATO process was stalled at about 9 months because they couldn't figure out, it was just stalled. Mm-hmm. Well, they implemented some of the tools we just talked about, and they were able to now, in the next 4 months, get out that system with an ATO and then create a continuous ATO process for that division of that system, which of that DoD agency. And now they're the poster child where they're creating their own software factory, right? Which is I'll talk about that in a moment, where they're creating their own software factory as a gold standard for other DoD agencies to take a look at. Here's how you truly create a continuous ATO environment, leveraging best of breed technologies. And just so happens Sonatype, GitLab, there's a couple others that are part of that ecosystem.
Without continuous ATO, once you get an ATO, you have to renew it like every 3, is it 3 years?
It's 3 years,
or is it,
right?
Okay.
Well, it depends on the agency and the system, but okay. it takes you, but when you get it, you have to start
you have to start again. But also, I mean, that whole idea of renewing your ATO is just silly, because the whole point of it is to stay secure. And just like we talked about, things are coming in at ludicrous speed. So you've got to be doing it at the same time.
That's right.
Yeah.
I think you just hit it on the head. That is one of the fundamental flaws. Is the old system is, hey, it takes 18 months in this instance to get the ATO. Well, now you got to do it again, but things have changed. Right? There's new vulnerabilities. There's new capability. AI is out here now. And, that was an on-premise system that you ATO'd, and now we're going to the cloud, right? So that's a whole different environment. So I see why they need to do the ATO, but it can't take 18 months every time. So right. If they could get this down to 1 to 4 months or something, 2 to 6 months, then it'll be much easier for not only the government to maintain the ATOs, but for industry to achieve the ATO.
Well, and the whole point of the authority to operate is we're saying, yeah, this thing is secure, right? And because everything's coming in so fast, like I said, it really has to be happening in real time all the time.
Yes.
Otherwise,
it's pointless. So that's why the mandate is out there. That's exactly what SWIFT is getting the DoD to do. And when you think about it, I think SWIFT is actually going to become similar to the CDM program that was on the civilian side of the house. I don't know if you're familiar with the continuous diagnostic and monitoring.
Yeah.
What I mean by that is, if you think about it, when they first came out with that, it was like, hey, here's what you should do. And then it was like, hey, here's how you should do it. And then it was, here's the types of tools that you should do. Oh, and by the way, here's the specific tools that you're going to use.
Yeah.
And we'll,
which is when it finally became useful.
when it finally became useful. So I think Swift is taking that same approach, but they're just going to do it faster.
When did Swift?
It just got released
just barely.
Yeah, just barely released a month ago, maybe.
Oh.
And that was just an RFI. I mean, it's brand new. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
It's still being developed what Swift is, but it is just what it's called, software fast track, right? How do we fast track these to get software to the ATO, create a continuous ATO process, but more importantly, here's how we do it. You need SBOMs, you need, DevSecOps tools, blah blah blah. So that's exactly what Swift is, and I actually have a Swift series that I'm doing that's really going to go into Swift and keep up to date with what it's all about, how agencies are leveraging it, and what OEMs can do to participate. So stay tuned for that.
We'll make sure that we get whatever we can in the show notes so our listeners can follow that.
Awesome.
So what you're telling me is all of this stuff is going to make it so we can safely move into ludicrous speed. Yes. That's what you're telling me here.
That's what it's supposed to do. We're trying to get to Druidia.
That's right. All right. Well, it's time for our Tech Talk questions.
Let's do it.
We're celebrating our 100th Tech Tech Transforms episode this summer. So I'm asking this question to all of my guests. What's the weirdest piece of tech you've ever seen in the defense world? Or it can just be any weird tech.
That's a good question. I tell you what, I didn't see it, but I saw it in a museum, and it is a capability that I didn't know we had. So I might be explaining this wrong, but it's called the Project Pigeon, and it was during World War II. World War II? Are you familiar with it?
I don't know pigeon. I know about the bats. Tell me about the pigeons.
Yeah. So it's similar, right? It's similar to but what they did was they were having a hard time getting missiles to track to hit their target effectively. So they trained these pigeons to go into the nose of the missile, and there's a radar screen.
Oh my God, this is staring at goats.
There's a radar screen in there, and through positive reinforcement, they taught the pigeons how to peck on the dot that had the ship or the building or whatever. And if it got off course, it would move and re-peck to hit.
Shut up. Did we
target.
Really use this?
Yes, it would.
And it worked?
It worked, but I don't know if they use it. But it was during the 40s or something. They called them dumb bombs or something. When dumb bombs were the standard because they were dumb because they never hit their target all the time, they tried to use these pigeons. So there you have it. That's my weirdest.
I will be researching that. I love that. That's my favorite one that anybody's given me so far. Okay. If you drop today's DevSecOps tools into the 1970s, what would blow them away the most?
Oh, man. I mean, I would have to say what we've been talking about, right? Just having automatic vulnerability checks, right? When you talk about SCA tools, I think developers would be astounded at automatic SBOM. Like, hey, here's what's in a gazillion lines of code in this mainframe, and I could tell you everything that's in it at the blink of an eye. I think they would go crazy.
You'd be burned as a witch. I'm just telling you right now, just don't do that, because that would be voodoo magic.
Yeah. And I think DevSecOps in general would be foreign to them.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Because security, remember, first of all, what back then, what was security in the 70s? But if it did, it was this black hole. It was something else. You mean you're integrating security in the development of your technology? I think that would blow their mind away as well.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I'm like rewatching the series Wednesday. Have you watched that one?
Oh yes,
so good. And all I can think is you would absolutely be burned as a witch right now.
I would. I'll give you a small tidbit on Wednesday really quickly. I got my MBA from University of Southern California, and one of my good friends and classmates is Wednesday's stylist. The girl who
Jenna
plays
Ortega?
Wednesday. He's Jenna Ortega's stylist. His name's Enrique. So whenever she travels on the red carpet, whatever, he's right there next to her, styler. Yeah. So he's her stylist. She's the cutest thing. Yeah.
And I mean, Tim Burton, Danny Elfman, that combination is just magical. I love this show.
And they did a great job casting the characters. But anyhow,
yeah, absolutely. Okay. Well, you know what? I'm just going to jump to my surprise Tech Talk question. Do you go all out for Halloween? And do you have your Halloween? Like, are you thinking about it yet?
Yes. Oh, yes. I go all out.
Can you reveal, or does it need to be a secret?
Well, I'll tell you some things I've been in the past, but I love a good adult Halloween party, right? So I went as Captain Jack Sparrow before.
Love it.
I've gone.
Did you do the eyeball Jack Sparrow?
No. I did the original Pirates, the first Pirates of the Caribbean Jack Sparrow. I did I was a cheerleader from Revenge of the Nerds.
Oh my gosh. I need to see pictures.
And I've been a clown, like an all-out clown.
Scary.
Yeah. And then me and four of my friends, we went as a rugby team.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
so we have some fun stuff. I can't tell you this year yet because I haven't figured it out.
No, I understand. Okay.
What about yourself?
Well, I too love Halloween. In fact, I have had guests on, and I'm planning to do it again this year in costume. Yes. So I
might have to make an appearance on that.
I will. Honestly, if you'll send me pictures, I'm thinking about some fun things to do with my guests' Halloween pictures, because I'll send you a picture of the episode that Dave X and I did for Halloween. And we cracked each other up because we didn't tell each other what we were going to do. So for that particular episode, I was the Cheshire Cat from Alice in Wonderland.
Oh.
Last year was pretty epic, though. Me, my sister, 9-year-old niece, and my brother-in-law were Kiss. And we were legit Kiss. I will send you pictures. I need
to see pictures.
I will have to figure out how to put him in the show notes too, because it was pretty awesome. It might be one of our best.
I love Halloween.
I do too. It's so fun. Okay, last Tech Talk question.
All right, let's do it.
It's kind of boring now that we got into Halloween, but okay. What's one software supply chain buzzword that you wish people would just bury?
Oh man, zero trust. I didn't even have to think about that.
You're welcome that I didn't bring it up.
Yes. No, well, I think
it's a stupid name.
Well, I think it's misunderstood for a couple of different reasons. One, people assume it's a product. It's not a product.
They do. They come up to me. Do you have some zero trust? Do you do zero trust? I'm like, oh my good Lord. Yeah, we do.
It is not a product.
We've got you some zero trust. And we've got you some AI.
Here, let me just serve it to you really quickly. But that's what they think. They think it's a product. It's not just about network access. Also, people think that, it's just controlling my network.
No.
But it's also not about disabling security.
That's right.
Right. That's not what it's about.
It's really about trust. It's
about.
Thank you.
There it is, right?
I do like Sis's 5 pillars, because at least then we start realizing, okay, this isn't just access, because that's what everybody used to think, right?
Right.
So now you've got the 5 pillars. DoD's broken it out even into more. I think we've got 7 with DoD pillars, right? So I agree. The name is confusing.
Yeah.
I do like the architecture, but that's another show, Antoine. That's another show.
Yeah, we'll do that another time. Yeah, okay. But so zero trust.
All right. I'm with you on that one. So last question for federal leaders that are ready to shift to proactive capability, do a little shift left here. What's one small action that they can take today, this week?
Yeah, I would just say identify one mission critical application and mandate that the developers, the security team, generate and maintain an SBOM, right? And why I think that's important, it's concrete, right? It's not vague. It's not go improve security. It's measurable. Go find an application.
Measurable.
Right? And generate
it's satisfying. It's something you can actually do it. You just got to take the time.
Actually do it, right?
Yeah.
And I guarantee you're going to find something that you didn't know about, some malware, some open source AI that you didn't know is being used, right? So that would be the one small step. Find a small application, mandate that your developers and security team generate an SBOM. And Sonatype would be happy to help.
Call Sonatype. Call you. How do they get a hold of you? What's your handle?
Yeah. My handle is Antoine Harden MBA on LinkedIn. You could also find us at sonatype.com. But lastly, we're going to be at all the different cybersecurity shows for the rest of the year. So we'll always be there. We'll have a booth. Please come find us. And then, lastly, we do have a blog series that's coming out about SWIFT, as well as securing AI in the federal government. So stay tuned on those coming out here in the next week or two.
Well, and I think you've written some blogs already,
Yes.
right? So some
Yes.
blogs on Sonatype. I'm going to get it in the show notes. So thank you so much,
Thank you
Antoine.
so
This
much.
has
This has
been
been
a
great.
delight. Yeah,
You're
I mean,
awesome.
like I said, I've talked about supply chain, I talk about SBOM, but I don't live it every day. So I have to be reminded. So it takes me a minute. You got to talk to me like I'm 10, basically. But
No worries. Thank you so much.
yeah, thank you. And thanks to our listeners for tuning in to Tech Transforms. Please share this episode, smash that like button. Tech Transforms is produced by Show and Tell. Until next time, stay curious and keep imagining the future.
I love it. Have a good one. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye. Step into the mission and take part of it home. Meet the author of Operation Skipjack at the Owl Evolution Summit, October 24th, 2025, and get your own signed copy. Reserve your spot now at owlcyberdefense.com/summit. Thanks for joining us on Tech Transforms. If you enjoyed this episode, please smash that like button and talk about it with a friend. I'm Carolyn Ford, and this is Tech Transforms.